You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you.
Yes, sir. Here we go. All right, folks, welcome back to another show. It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. What's up, Walt?
Hey, nothing much, man. Just staying on the grind. I'm excited about, again, I always say I'm excited for the season.
I know.
It's great. I think we're energized. Hopefully the listeners are picking that up as well from this. So I'm excited. Looking forward to eventually getting some guests on this year.
Yes.
To have to reach out and figure out who people are going to be.
Yep. Shout out to Christina and Vala Payroll.
Yep.
Shout out to that payroll guy, Gerard
Hall. Yep.
Yes, sir. So he dropped his 2023 W4 spreadsheet calculator that we use.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, man. Such a helpful tool, folks, to payroll professionals. It really is a game changer. Payroll professionals are struggling with this document, struggling to help their customers. So he really filled that gap. Go check him out. He just posted it. His website is up. He's out there. Go hit him up.
Yep.
Yeah, man. We just got some awesome stuff. For this episode, guys, we're going to cover this continuity as it pertains to payroll. And what that means is just how do you keep your payroll going in the event of a disaster or an emergency? The things that I think about are hurricanes and snowstorms if you're in the north, hurricanes if you're in the south, tornadoes, anything weather related. But it could also be other things. It's basically anything that would cripple your ability to process payroll in a normal way. Right?
Do you have any examples of that you experienced in your business?
Yes, I have. But before we get all into it, you posed an awesome sidebar. Folks, we always talk about something else and we just try to keep it light. This ain't light, but keep it relevant, be helpful. Walt found this article about a payroll manager in a Chicago museum who misappropriated more than $2 million over more than a decade, almost 20 years.
That's crazy, man.
And I am going to absolutely dig into this indictment and dig into this article because it is fascinating, the things that he's used. That he's the poster child for payroll fraud at this point, right? And honestly, I want to speak more about this situation. I'm sorry, sir. Your name, I'm not even going to blast your name out right now. I said enough. If you want to research it, find it. I'm sorry that you're going to be the poster child for us, but you really are. And by your own,
unfortunately, it was his own doing.
His own doing, yeah. I don't feel too bad for you. But this is what not to do for payroll. And we just spoke that we need to cover an episode in this series, this season, just fraud and how to protect against fraud, how to identify fraud. And good gosh, over almost 2 decades, you might want to fire his boss.
Bro.
I'll be honest, not for nothing, man. I know there was some trust involved probably, and I know the environment, right? Non-for-profits, the creator environment, the artist environment. There's a lot of trust. People like to build families in those environments, and you know what I mean? And he probably was trusted, and as a payroll person should be.
Yeah.
Gosh, man. So what do you think about this, Walt?
No, I think it's crazy, and I think it's a perfect example. It's a $2 million lesson that this museum, nonprofit organization, had to learn about security and securing their employees' data and information, and not allowing just one person as a payroll manager to operate in a silo, to keep them honest and to run these audit checks and stuff like that. And Who knows? Maybe they had a change at the
True.
C-suite level, and this
Mhm.
person, that person's boss, the payroll manager's boss, wanted him to verify some data. It's like, hey, we're getting these notices. Could you report on it? Or the person was savvy about the system that they use and ran a report themselves and found that. Yeah, I think it's a hard lesson on what not to do,
Absolutely.
and hopefully they will become better from that. And I'm going to include the link for this. I'm going to include it
Yes.
in the episode notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. It's so interesting, folks. It really is. And the thing, if you look, we glanced through the indictment before, and this guy used every tactic, negative deduction, PTO payouts,
Yep.
all any and every tactic that you could possibly think of. He used it. Shit that I haven't even thought about yet, and he did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because we should be applying these measures regardless.
Yep.
Regardless of whatever trust we have, because trust but verify.
Yep.
And that is the lesson that they should learn. Trust but verify. What was the other thing? Oh, I did the math real quick, right? Million divided by the 17 years was another 120 grand a year for him.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Almost like 2 million over the 20 years. I'm like, oh, how much was, maybe it wasn't worth it, but nah, another 100K a year.
Crazy, man.
That's where, and he probably wasn't even making that much for profits. He was probably making a decent salary, but not for profits. You don't tend to make a lot of money because you're not built in high revenue. You're not in a high revenue place.
Yeah.
Visionary voices, bold breakthroughs. This is Shally's Alley, where top recruiting minds spill their best kept secrets live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Raw, unfiltered conversations on sourcing, hiring, and the future of talent, where we ask the tough questions no one else will. Tune in and level up.
He's making modest living, but dang.
Yeah.
So-
The thing behind it is what he was changing the account that the deposits was in. He changed it to his personal accounts. That's what was
Yes.
happening.
Yes,
That's
right. And that was the common denominator. Whatever he did, it was still his account that it was going into at the end. So right now, at this point, they could just track back however long and figure out how many times it happened. He left himself an easy paper trail to figure out. If somebody's checking for fraud, and there is there, you'll find it.
So key point. We'll talk about this a little
Yeah,
bit more in the
for
series.
sure.
But key point for you business owners out there, whether you're new or you're old in the game, have these checks and balances in place, like Brian was saying. Make sure that you're keeping yourself and your professionals that you have in positions of influence.
Yes.
Keep them honest.
Yes. Keep them. Yeah, keep them. Again, we're going to circle back on the show, but the
Yeah.
quick thing is just have auditors audit your stuff. And I think that's what we don't do enough. Anywho, this episode is business continuity. And so we circle back to the question you had, have I had a situation? And yes, I had, I believe it was a snowstorm in New York, and we couldn't get to the school, like where at this point I was working for a college. We couldn't get there to process, and of course folks had live checks. We were able to solve the can't get there to process issue because payroll's kind of always been a remote a great opportunity to be a remote employee, right? But historically, owners, business bosses just weren't comfortable with it because there was a lot of paper involved, usually, or historically, there could be paper involved and you got to print stuff out. And definitely you don't want that, the printing of employees' information and pay rates and all that. You don't want that to leave your secure locations. That's if you have to print. If you're not in an environment where you have to print or you can work off of your screens, then you can really work remote. So point is, what we did in that situation is we figured out that we could work remotely to process, but we still had a challenge of the employees who were not direct deposit, who had live check. They still didn't get their check on time. They had to wait. You know what I mean? And they complained and it was a deal, but they had to wait. But we took advantage and said, hey, this is an opportunity to sign up for direct deposit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This is why direct deposit is so important. And it even showed itself through the pandemic. folks, schools closed down because of COVID. Workplaces closed down because of COVID.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then what happens? Payroll still has to run. There's still people running the organization. That might be just one location in the multi-unit setup. Payroll still has to process, and those people who have live checks at that location are still going to have a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you? Any issues?
Yeah. One that sticks out to me in my career was there was no natural disaster or anything like that. It was just the AC went down in the building. They had a older AC unit or whatever, and so it went out. And because of that, and it was during the summer, and it was like, you know how humid and hot Florida can be.
Oh yeah.
So the servers had to be at a certain temperature.
Yeah.
The heat caused all the servers to crash that were in the building, and so everything went down. Nobody could do anything at all.
Wow.
So we came to work, and they made us sit around. So they didn't get it back up until maybe 10 at night, and we had to process over hundreds of payrolls for multiple clients and stuff like that. And so there were some of us that were working into the midnight hour or early morning because the server went down, and nobody could do anything until the server was fixed back up.
Oh, that's great. It's interesting. You made me think of a thing too, because in the last few years in South Florida, I was in a building, the AC went down and the temperature started to go up. And what I learned was if the temperature goes above a certain degree internally inside the building, we have to leave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it gets dangerously hot. People could start passing out, right? Stroke and things like that. So so in New York, it was always like cold. Oh my God, the building's too cold. You got to leave. But in South Florida, it's the opposite, really. If things get too hot, yeah, that was interesting too. It was like, oh wow, okay. So yeah, okay. So perfect segue. And if I may, business continuity in regards to payroll refers to the measures and strategies that organizations put in place to ensure that their payroll processes continue to function seamlessly during unexpected disruptions or emergencies. And that's the key, disruptions or emergencies. It can be anything that just causes you not to. In New York, when 9/11 happened, couldn't go back into Manhattan.
Yep.
Manhattan was shut down for X amount of days. To those who've lost families and everything. God bless. So that's another situation, right? Disruptions or emergencies, like you don't even know what it is.
Yep.
So what we got for you guys is 7 key points to help you get through and really plan. Business continuity is about being proactive, planning in advance, and not being reactionary.
Yeah, I want to touch on this one thing you have highlighted before we go. Like that this continuity is important for an organization to maintain employee morale and productivity, because your employees will appreciate still getting paid even if something goes wrong. I remember that in Florida, we had those 2 hurricanes within a week span.
Yep.
And so what the company did that I worked for at the time, we couldn't process payroll. So what they did for the employees is they called the payroll provider up and said, hey, we can't do anything. So can you just do a snapshot of what we did last payroll and just process that again and send out those payments again?
What I think is key to what you said is to maintain employee morale and really. Productivity, of course. Productivity is for the employer, yes. But employee morale, because you don't want to have to miss a payroll and be like, oh, I'll get you guys next time because there was a storm. No, they don't care. They still need to be paid. Things, people need to eat and pay bills. Like, you crazy. So you have to find a way to keep that morale up. And thinking about business continuity will put you in a position to have a solution in the event that happens. Saying, what you were saying. And in one of these key points, we talk about calculating the payroll and maybe figuring out number 1, having a backup system in place. This can include things like maintaining duplicate records, like you said, and having system in place for manual calculation in the event of a primary payroll system goes down, right? I think what you said is key. Just having record of your prior payroll, and then maybe having a rough manual way to exclude terminations and include new hires. That might be the other piece of that is want that new person that just started right before this catastrophe happened to still get paid. Because if they don't get paid, that's where that morale is going to go down real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Now, one quick thing I wanted to
Yeah.
jump in here because I think when it says a manual calc in the event that the primary payroll system becomes available, to me that speaks, and I want to see if you agree. So to me that says like if our payroll provider system crashes and they're down and it's in this critical
Yes.
moment, can we do
Yes.
something internally as a corporation to pay our employees?
See, in that thing, I think, okay, I get what you're saying. But even in that scenario, I still believe that you go off of last pay. And if you're record keeping properly, if you're following the 5 pillars of payroll properly, you will have a redundancy of your reporting and your registers and your system reports.
Yes.
And this is exactly why we stress don't just rely on the system to capture and maintain all of your reports and data. Because if that system crashes, where's your report at?
Yep.
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
have to create your own redundancy and take all the reports off your system that you need, save them on your local servers, hard drives, whatever it may be. You're right. I guess it should be a matter of, it probably should be a few steps in there. Okay, if our system is still up, then we can run mirrored payroll from last payroll. The system is down. Do we have a copy of last payroll? If everything is down, we don't have anything digitally available and we don't print stuff out,
What do we do?
what do we do?
Yeah.
Right. I think maybe it is keeping printed a report of some sort, right? I think you have to print it. And maybe a good system is like printing it out and then shredding it after every payroll passes. Like,
Oh, the sick day struggle is real. But with Dimetapp, it doesn't have to be. Children's Dimetapp works quickly to soothe multiple bothersome cough, cold, and allergy symptoms in a single dose. Our fast-acting formulas are designed with kids in mind, so they get everything they need and nothing they don't. Available in liquid and on-the-go chewable tablets. Tap the banner now to shop at Amazon and say goodbye to the sick day struggle with Dimetapp. Use as directed.
you replace it every payroll and you
Yeah.
only maintain that one copy of like maybe employee rates. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And there's some key information there. So that's a good suggestion. So you probably would want to do is create a report. It's employee name, it's a key employee information now. Report has probably got to have a lot of PPI in it because it's address, it's social. You really want to make sure you're paying the right person if you now have to hand write a check to somebody.
Yeah.
Or you can come up with some like base thing, right? Okay, we're just going to give everybody $1,000 right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
And just to get through the next few days, because for all intent and purpose, and unless it's very catastrophic, everything will be back up and running in a few days, right?
Yeah.
And if it's not, honestly, the little $1,000 ain't gonna matter because
Yeah.
if your systems and everything is not back up and normal in a few days, the problems are way bigger. So that's your number one. Have some type of backup system in place, and it could include multiple levels in that. What's your backup, right?
Yep. Yep.
So think about that. Think that through with your organization, with your technology solutions and resources, and how you can do this. And really, you may want to consider getting that paper file of your rates and things like that. So in the event you can produce some pay, or again, just come up, maybe leadership is okay with a flat rule, with a flat dollar amount rule. In the
Yeah.
event, in a situation where you can't even process checks and you have to write checks, yes, giving everybody $1,000, $500 may be fine.
Yep.
And then you have to deduct that from payroll on the next payroll, right? So again,
Yep.
that step also has to be written down and worked in.
Yes, that's
Right.
very detailed. I remember a story. I forget, it was one of my former colleagues. They said that everything went down for them, and the only thing they had access to was their banking system. And so what they had to do is they had to wire each employee
Ooh,
some money.
ooh,
They had to look at the reports, and so there was all hands on decks for all the accounting team and stuff
Ooh.
like that. And so they had to wire everything.
ooh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's and that leads us right into the next point we have for you is training employees. right? Because now you built all this stuff, but you got to run through it. You got to have to do situations to walk through it so that you're good. You know that you've covered all the bases. So training is a big part of business continuity because it's not just you can't just write it down and then be like, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, but do you know how to do all those things?
Exactly.
And then number three is regularly testing and updating the continuity plan. And this just means keep rehashing it because your technology could change, your resources could change, even if it's just a matter of, oh, wait, we've used a different vendor now. Don't log into that vendor, log into this one.
Yeah.
So they're just maintaining, regularly testing and updating the plan
Yep.
should be good.
Yep.
Number four is maintaining communication. Maintaining communication, having a clear and effective communication plan to employees in the event there's a payroll interruption is huge. And in communication, this could also be some type of corporate show because it's so hard to get employees into one place, especially now with social media, and creating all this, like the rules that they have, like you have to have their permission and you can't just do this. And if you're going to do that, they have to buy in and they have to have the option to opt out and all this stuff. And it's like, then how the heck do you communicate with your employees effectively?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Based on the research I've done over the years, it's really creating an app, creating culture, having the culture of communication, also driving them to an app, one place. And I think this day and age, it's an app. It's not email because folks could just, oh, I didn't get my emails, right?
Yep.
It's creating an app and getting everybody engaged in that app.
Yep.
And it could be, there's apps now that you can use for your companies, leverage their technology, or you could build your own app. It just all depends.
Yep.
But the best companies do it well, right? The best companies communicate well, and that's why they're the best companies because they communicate well.
You have to figure out how that it works for your company too, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to look at your environment demographic and see how most of your population is. Like there's some studies you can do from an analytical standpoint. You can see like the age of your population, right?
Yeah.
Say, oh, most of our employees are between the ages of 19 to 38 or whatever, or we have this. So everybody takes communication in a different way. So you may have to have different options.
Yeah.
You may have to post something on the actual website, the payroll system site, post something there because you have a demographic that will read that. And then may have to send out a text.
Or a
letter.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You may have to establish multiple mediums for your population. And you're absolutely right. It does depend on your demographic. So run that report, figure out how surveys is a good way, right? Get feedback from your employees. But anyway, maintaining communication is key through a business continuity plan because your folks need to know what's going to happen in the event that I can't come to work and pick up my check.
Absolutely.
How am I going to get that? Another one is keeping track of compliance. This is important, but it's more like make sure you're doing the normal things as well. Because just because you're in crisis mode doesn't mean that your filings and your payroll taxes and wage laws and filing requirements aren't still in effect.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep. Now, here's the catch, though. If you're keeping track of compliance, you will know who is giving leniency. So, like, for instance, South Florida or Florida for that matter, had a big hurricane this past year. And there were a few government agencies that have given some grace because of that on deadlines. As long as you're keeping track, then you know what.
Absolutely. Great point. Great point.
Yeah. Another one is monitoring risk. Organizations should also monitor the risk interruptions such as natural disasters, cyber attacks, and steps to minimize the likelihood of these interruptions.
So that, to me, that kind of says is first you have to identify what potential things may cause errors, right?
Yes.
Then, like you said, then monitor those things.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and it could be as easy as we used to have somebody, I believe it was my last situation, where we had somebody that monitored the weather all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because We had stores all over the.
Hey friends, Marnie Robbins here, host of Vibe Makers, a podcast now on the Work Defined Network. Look, we all know workplace culture doesn't come from a slide deck. Gross. It comes from people. So on Vibe Makers, I talk to the folks shaping the experience of work from the inside out. You know, the HR and people ops folk, founders, leaders, and misfits building culture through small bets, big beliefs, and a whole lot of trial and error. No fluff. Well, maybe a little fluff, but mainly just candid talk about what happens when you stop duct taping your culture together. Come check us out. Listen to Vibe Makers wherever you get your podcasts.
All over the country. And the different weather was affecting different stores, and that would impact sales. So it was a trickle down, a ripple effect. So yeah, it's just something easy as that. And then because of that, we always knew we had a little bit of proactivity, but it could be as simple as that, just tracking weather and having maybe alerts built in for severe weather in your geographic locations. Cyber attacks, of course.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
With in regards to the weather and the location, right? So sometimes our corporate headquarters could be in one location, and the center that our payroll provider is in a different region of the country or whatever. Did those people look at the weather in those places too?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we did. Yep. And it's something to think about, right? Because we go through that now in our organization, right? And we're some of our locations are dealing with weather, and we're like, oh wow, we didn't even know.
Yep.
Something to think about. Yeah, monitoring risk. And then the last one is identifying critical processes. Identify the critical processes and ensure that they are included in the continuity plan, such as salary, benefits, and deductions and tax filing. So that's, again, goes with keeping track of compliance, but it does call something out that we mentioned in the first one. Oh, just cut somebody $500 or $1,000. Yes, but gotta remember that you didn't factor in benefits. You didn't factor in deductions. You didn't factor in their tax filings.
Yes.
So you gotta go back up to 2, training the employees properly on how to deal with that if you do. So just different things to keep in mind. Yeah, it sounds like, that's an easy solution. $1,000, $500, awesome. Whoa, just make sure later that you're recording that transaction right when the system opens back up, when the system is back up and running. How are you going to record that transaction? If you decide to just give them some money, is it going to be part of their wages? If you do that, you have to communicate properly, maintaining communication. You have to tell them that in advance. If there is an event that we can't get you your pay, we're going to give you this amount based on blah, blah, blah. And then once we can process, this is what we're going to do with that transaction.
Yes.
And folks need to focus, and it's just you probably need to opt out or an opt in, because you can probably make a choice. You know what? I'm good. If you can't pay me, just wait until the system's back up to pay me again. Because there are going to be some employees that can weather a missed paycheck or two.
Yeah.
Right. Not everybody, of course. The majority of us live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
But there are some folks that, just and this is why the key points and this plan has to be worked all the way through, because one thing leads to another, one thing impacts another. And it's not just, if the things go down, we'll just peel off some cash for them. No, you know what I mean? You can, but you gotta understand the implications of everything you do as a business. And I think that's what this season is really important, because if you have a business, there are so many implications about what you do and how it impacts other things.
Yes.
There's ripple effects and there's impact to what you do and how you do it. You have to keep mind of that. That's all. You just have to keep track of it and make sure that you're accounting for all these decisions that you make and keeping your key people in the conversation. Please do not create a business continuity plan for payroll and you don't have the payroll person in the room.
Please don't. Yeah.
And honestly, as an owner, I would give it to payroll first. Hey guys, you figure it out. You present your
review.
Let me review. And then as an owner, I'm going to go do some research and compare and maybe shoot it to a consultant and be like, hey, this is good. Great. Thanks. You know,
Exactly.
because I don't want to pay a consultant 1,000 hours of work when my team can do it and I can just pay them an hour to review it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So just please, yeah, think about those things when you're creating the plan. Yeah, what else, man? Anything else that we should share?
No, I don't have anything else.
Overall, a well-designed and regularly updated payroll continuity plan is crucial for maintaining a smooth and functioning organization and minimizing the impact of these disruptions and emergencies on your employees. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Partner.
All right. Later. Thank you for listening to today's episode of our podcast. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And we hope that the information that was shared with you will impact you as a payroll professional. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.